You're watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burt-Godwin, and I have our friend of the show, Dan Negroni, is back in the house. Welcome back.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Friend of the studio. You're also on
studio.
Big Biz Show. You're on all sorts of shows here.
I get around.
You
What
get
did I
around,
say?
Dan,
Yeah.
yes. Legal analyst turned business coach, both. I kind of utilize you for both.
Yeah, and I'm happy to be.
I love it.
As I said, I get around. I'm happy to be utilized.
We
for
always
both.
have the best conversations because we kind of go off on tangents, and I
do?
really like getting into
I
conversations
would,
with
if
you.
the audience likes it, is the
I
real
hope
question.
they do.
I hope so too.
Well, let's find out.
Okay, let's
The
go.
first question, I want to start with some legal topics first.
Okay.
And of course, the big one on everyone's mind lately is the Rittenhouse case that
Yeah.
just ended. We're not going to go too deep in that and give a lot of opinions.
I told you
here.
I was scared before I sat down,
Yes,
before we got on
exactly.
camera. It's a hot topic, and it's polarizing.
Definitely polarizing.
Yeah.
I will say that there was, some biases that I saw, I believe, from the judge. I wasn't surprised when the verdict came out because I had a feeling it was leaning that way. Not that he was the person.
It did appear that way, yeah. From sound bites.
From
And
sound
that's the
bites.
problem is we all listen to these sound bites and then we make our opinion instead of, like I researched it before I got here and I said, whoa, this is dangerous, but it's really what was the count, what was the charge, what was the information they were trying to get in, what is the law relative to that? And no one really wants to go that deep. They want to just say what the one comment that the
Right.
judge said that incensed them.
Right.
And that just scares me.
And makes blanket statements
It
out
scares
of
me.
all the stereotypical things. When we weren't in the courtroom, we certainly saw a lot of things, though. They aired a lot
I
of.
think the prosecutors were very zealous about trying to make their case.
Yes.
And I think that it really is a challenge when you have a prosecutor that's so zealous and you have a judge that's really trying to protect the process, it appeared like, but it almost looked like he went over as well by chastising the prosecutor.
He crossed the line.
It
a
was
few
like a
times.
soap opera.
It was because then Rittenhouse falls down, breaking down, crying, and then the attorney he holds the gun up in the middle of the courtroom, and that picture makes its rounds, becomes its own meme. So it's a little dangerous. What I actually have another question for you though, is that when you're looking at this and also the Ahmaud Arbery case is going on, which is also in the news and media a lot, and that was under jury selection for quite a long time. And I thought, how are they going to get a jury that's not biased in some way when it's been in the media and the news for months?
Yeah, and I think that's a question in all trials is, especially with media's prevalent, social media, all these clips, all these sound bites. You got Tucker Carlson on one side, Don Lemon on the other side.
Right.
Completely opposite views. Everyone is spewing their opinion. And it really takes, if you really want to make a good opinion and have a voice in it, then learn. Like really research it.
Yeah.
Research what's going on.
Or don't talk
and watch
about
the trial. Yeah, or shut up.
Yeah, and hope that they really do their due diligence in the courtroom to get those jurors that are not biased. I mean, they're going to have their own inherent biases based on who they are, but I guess they have to weigh that when they're doing the jury selection.
For sure. I mean, juries they're a very complicated thing. People are complicated.
Yeah.
And yeah, you think some juries, I mean, what are they living under a rock? Like the O.J. Simpson jury?
Right.
I mean, it's like, yeah.
They had to have
it's
heard
kind
that.
of crazy.
I will say, speaking on this topic, that it was one of the best things I've ever done was to serve on a jury, as far as enlightening, and I felt so. I just felt so American, and I felt like I got excited every day to go to that courtroom. It was a pretty intense case. It wasn't a murder case, but it was intense.
But the rules were like, you have to listen to this. These are the jury instructions.
Absolutely.
Don't pay attention to anything on TV. Don't
Yep.
pay attention to anything you read.
Don't talk to
Don't
anybody.
pay attention to anything that was disallowed, which is really hard to unhear.
Very much hard
Right?
on here, yeah.
Yeah,
But I
it's
took it very seriously. I mean, I
As
just went
you
home
should.
every night and I thought, this is so important. A man's future was in my hands, you know? So I really love the jury system. I mean, I don't know. It's challenging. And it was nice to see, though, there weren't huge protests or protests that turned dangerous.
Why do you think that is? I think we're toasted.
Maybe.
Like, we're just toasted.
Maybe.
I mean, I think there are some uprisings in people, and of course, people are saying now, well, you can't go and basically protest because you don't know if someone's going to shoot you. I mean, it's like, why is it always all these extremes?
We're in an extreme part of the.
I don't like it.
Right, I don't either.
don't like it.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, one more question on
Yeah.
the legal front is
Yeah.
these two big incidents that have happened. The shooting on the rest set with Alec Baldwin,
Tragic.
who shot the gun.
Right.
Yes. And then also we have Travis Scott and the Astroworld tragedy that happened, and all those people were killed. Now it's up to 10 that died in that incident because the other 2 that were injured died. Yeah. Now I was thinking that in the Alec Baldwin case, let's say, is that he is probably more culpable, more so as the producer of the show.
For sure.
Versus being the person that actually shot the
Well,
gun.
he didn't intentionally do anything. Someone gave him the gun. I think they called cold gun, which means it's safe. He shot it believing it's safe. It's really going to be really, really hard to prove a criminal negligence that he, everything showed. Now, civil negligence is what you're talking about.
Yes.
I'm a producer. I have a duty of care for my employees. I have a duty of care for the set. I need to make sure safety procedures are followed. It looks like someone screwed that up in a big way.
In a big way. And not just on one count. Multiple counts are, and again, this is what we're hearing in the news, and more will be revealed there. But I keep thinking that he's more at fault here, or going to be found culpable, if at all, more so as the producer because of those reasons.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're the boss. You're the boss.
Exactly.
You're the boss of
He's the
everything,
boss.
and it all ends with you. And so you have to make sure that you've put in the safety procedures to protect everyone.
And you hire the people that are going to follow through.
Right.
And
Amen.
he maybe didn't hire that armor himself, but he hired the people who hire the armor, and the buck stops with him.
I mean,
right?
bosses have been held accountable with that, right? You own a food factory. You're
Right.
you're liable for not
You're
training
liable,
the people the right way, not cleaning the systems, or someone doesn't clean it, or they didn't clean it and someone gets sick. I mean, all those things.
Right. And the same with Travis Scott. I mean, they're still piecing together the timeline.
That is a really, really hard. I mean, it's just, I guess I have never been on stage performing like that, where you don't, I mean, how could you not see that? But at the same token, you look and you hear about what he says. Of course, no one wants that to happen. But the question is, did you breach your duty of care?
And because he's a producer of the show, I mean, it's his concert.
Again, right? Being the boss is great when it all works out.
Exactly.
And when it goes to hell, it's not good.
Not good.
For anyone. And I mean, look, there's lots of insurance carriers. The standard, I think, is, was it willing? Was it knowledgeable? Was it so grossly negligent that they should have known? I don't think those things exist.
I don't know.
But we don't know. We don't know yet. Yeah, we don't know.
There's been articles I've read about the Astroworld.
Yeah, I haven't
negligence
paid
there,
attention to that one because it makes me so sick.
It's very sad.
That you think of your kids going to a concert
Right.
or anyone you know in the mosh pit and their life threatened.
Well, I was just at a concert with my kids at Pitbull down in Chula Vista.
Pitbull.
And there was it was so fun. I was second row. Oh my God,
Pitbull.
it was so fun.
He's got good energy.
So, but there was a whole audience area in the back where there was a railing that was gonna go down.
Yeah.
And he almost didn't come on.
Yeah.
They almost stopped the show because of safety. And they said, we
Well,
can't
good for
continue
that.
the show. It was postponed about a good 30 minutes. And he stopped about 4 times through the show, reminding people to back up.
Well, it only takes one Astroworld to know that he could lose his
This
whole
was
empire
before
too.
Astroworld,
Oh, was
but yeah,
it?
yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, good for him.
Right.
That's awesome.
So it just was a juxtaposition of one person and one facility, for sure, saying this could potentially be a danger zone.
Yeah, and Travis Scott, isn't it his?
It's his festival.
It's his festival. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, it becomes much more right. The bigger boss you are, the bigger you fall.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what.
Yeah, but good for Pitbull and anyone. I mean, I couldn't imagine being a performer like when Ariana Grande had the shooting at her. I mean, you can imagine. I mean, it's crazy.
It's horrific. Yeah.
Horrific.
Well, we'll keep that stuff in play. But I wanted to talk to you also. I love talking to you about all the millennial stuff and really about, speaking of being the boss.
Yeah.
Let's segue that into the business world. And
you are not the boss of me. That's what they say.
My kids really like to say that. And I'm like, actually,
I am.
I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until you cut up my credit cards, right? And I stop paying for college. I'm the boss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is a daily conversation.
Yeah.
But
they don't
anyway,
like that.
they're 13 and 15.
Yeah, well, when they're 26, it still stays the same.
Really?
And you're really not the boss of them.
And you're
But
definitely
they think
not.
they're the boss of you.
No. Oh my gosh. But so, segueing into this topic of keeping employees happy, engaged, there is this great resignation happening.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in a big shift with business.
48% of employees are either looking for a new job or have the thought of leaving their employer now. And
48%?
48%.
Wow.
So it's kind of crazy. And whoever you talk to, I just had lunch with what they call a CHRO, a chief human resource officer that has probably 2,000 or 3,000 employees. And he was talking about his challenges of really keeping employees engaged and knowing that you care about them and you're trying to grow their career and you have their back. It's a full-time job, especially with hybrid work.
Right.
We're all not connected. It just feels
stinky. It's hard.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
And we're going to come back and talk about this.
We will.
Ways in which business owners, leaders, managers can help this
Cool.
situation and also grow their business, but help their employees. It's a challenging situation sometimes.
Only way.
Okay, everyone at home, stick around. We'll be right back with Dan Negroni. You're watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burt-Godwin here with Dan Negroni. He's the author of this book, Chasing Relevance.
Yes.
And we're going to get a new book out of you real soon.
Yeah,
real
soon. I think so. I'm itching
because
for one.
so many of these, I'm halfway through, and so many of the topics in here are so relevant today. Chasing relevance. They're still relevant.
They were. I think it was a little ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about millennials and Gen Z.
We were talking about millennials and Gen Zs, but you can see on the title it says 6 steps to understand, engage, and maximize next generation leaders in the workplace. We crossed out millennials because we believe everyone needs to shift.
Yeah.
The old guys and gals like me
Yeah.
need to shift to understand the young people, and the young people need to shift to understand it's not all about them, and there are rules of the road.
Yes.
And we each need to understand, bridge the gap.
I'm so happy you brought that up. Okay, there's something that I read in here, and I think I even saw it on your Instagram feed in a video, which I love. You have to follow your Instagram feed. What are you at? Dan Negroni.
At Dan.Negroni. Yeah.
Okay, which great videos that you post on your Instagram feed.
you.
Really great snackable tips. Yeah. But there's something that you said that I had this like visceral reaction to, and it took me a while to kind of say, where do I land on this? Okay, so the concept was somebody saying, an older person, let's say like me, and said I had to, work 14 hours a day with maybe one lunch break, and back
walk
in the
uphill
day,
backwards with
right.
shoes
Or your
on
thing in here was like walk through carpet, shag carpet.
Yeah.
And then your thing is to like, how is that relevant today? And I was like, well, that's what I expect everyone else to have to do that. Just like the older generations expected us to walk 4 miles through snow or whatever it was. And I thought, well, wait, isn't it relevant? Maybe it's not relevant. I mean, it took me a moment to say my pain that I walked, because it's different now.
I think it's relevant to explain to someone that empathy, right? I hear you. I've been there before, maybe not the same way, but I've been there before. I felt that way before. And here's the opportunity that we can do to change that together. And so I think that it's relevant in not what it was, but the fact that you can see, hear, and celebrate what people are going through.
But so would you want the younger person to appreciate and see and hear what the older person went through? I mean, I think maybe it's validation. Maybe as the older person, you're like,
if it serves the purpose of the community and the younger person to do it, absolutely yes. If it just serves you because you want to rant and complain and tell them how hard it was for you, too damn bad, right? You're an adult too.
Right. That means I have to adult.
However, just as a parent with your kids, when the lesson is about them to teach them something so they can learn and improve, it works all the time. When the lesson is about you trying to feed yourself, right? Solve your own issues. And so it just is it about the audience? And that's probably the best way you can describe it. It's always relevant.
It's always relevant.
Because people want to be seen, heard, and celebrated.
Yes.
But our jobs as individuals and what we teach in the workplace, whether you're young and old, is to serve the other person across the table from you, not yourself.
Okay.
And if you can master that tool, you can always connect. The problem is I want to tell you how bad it was for me. Like I was telling my kids how bad my childhood was. Yeah. And they really don't want to care. They don't really care.
They don't care.
They only care as it relates to them or as if it means something. And I of course they care. But they just don't want to be...
It's hard for them to even grasp it.
No, it's about me feeling better that I could get it off my chest.
Right.
Not about them learning anything.
Right.
More, and so when it's about me teaching them a lesson, well, then it works.
Okay. And there's a lot of self-awareness that has to come into play here in the workplace with managers and leaders to say and parents, it's very similar,
Well,
right?
so being a boss is, I say it in the book, self-mastery is critical in life. The only person we can change in life is ourselves.
Yes.
So when we master the way we come across and show up to the universe with great energy, it pays us back that way.
Right.
And when we don't have a mastery of that, we usually screw it all up. And it just sounds like, I want me.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, when something goes wrong, let's say
Both generations, by the way.
Right. I do think all of the generations, no matter what generation, it's
right?
human.
People.
It's human.
I think our post today was people are people.
Right.
Yeah.
Depeche Mode
Or
song.
people need people.
Okay.
But they certainly are people too. Oh, sorry, I got that wrong. Shannon will kill me.
But I think that, going into a situation and figuring out what the motive is behind it.
Well, and how do you best do that? I mean, there's like 5 tools in life to figure it out. One is understand what the other person wants from you with them. What's in it for them?
Okay.
Why? Because we're all built, you've heard the term WIFM. Do you know what WIFM is?
No.
What's in it for me?
Okay, yes.
Right, like anytime someone says something
I definitely
to
have heard that.
you, right, in your head all the time, all day long, right?
Uh-huh.
What about me? What about me?
Yeah.
How does that affect me? What's that? Where am I going to park? How much money will I make? Oh, is that going to make it harder for me? We're all built that way. So
I want to talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Is that we don't even realize that's happening.
well, it's
totally
innate
subconscious.
survival.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I'm selfish, but then if I think about it, I'm like, oh.
But if you just understand that the person sitting across the table from you or out there that you're working with, they're thinking that all the time. So if you just turn it, what's in it for them, you win.
Okay.
And the cool thing about what's in it for them, the question was, how do you figure that out? That's how we started.
Yes.
How do you figure it out? What's the most simple way to figure out what someone else needs
Ask
from
them.
Oh, amen, right? Like that's simple. Amen, right? We ask them. And so those are the tools we talk about. Like with senior executives at big companies, it's like, this is not about you. It's about the audience.
Okay, so actually, this is perfect.
Okay,
I want to talk
good.
about this
Perfect's
next.
good.
Is how to ask them. Do you put up a suggestion box? Do you have a weekly meetings with your boss and your team?
Well,
what
yes,
are the
yes,
ways
and yes.
in which you
So
do
I
this?
think it's a great question. Yes, 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 and yes. We have a 3-part system. It's called GPS.
Okay.
G is for gratitude. Always lead with gratitude. Why?
in a meeting type of thing.
Yeah, people in anything, in any communication. Thank you for doing this. And with gratitude, you have to be specific. Not you did a great job at this. I love the way you listened to me. It really helped us solve the problem. You're a great listener. G is gratitude. P is permission. Why do you ask for permission? Do you know? It's kind of the Jedi. I mean, what?
You to get them on the same page with you, or to
Get them to listen,
Yeah,
to get respect, right? So, hey, can I tell you something? Could we go a little bit deeper on this topic?
Yes.
It'd be great if I could explain some things.
Is now
or
a good
explore
time?
some things.
How about
Is
that?
now a good time. So
That's a good-
asking for permission gets them to listen. It respects them, but more importantly, it's a Jedi mind trick because it changes control. It gives you when I ask you for permission, you've said yes. So now you have control. You feel better. You relax into it. You listen, and I can actually tell you, and you'll hear me.
okay.
And then the third thing is S. We explain what we needed through shared experience, not a judgment. You did this. I didn't like that. No. Hey, here's what I experienced, what you did. And when you talk about what you experienced, what's the beautiful thing about that? No one can argue with your experience. It's
Right.
your experience, so if you do it politely. So, GPS all the time, all day long.
I love that. Now, my next question is though, let's say, not though, but what happens if this is an experience that happened at my previous place of work? Oh gosh, we're running out of time. But what if you can't give them what they're asking for? Can you sum that up in 30 seconds?
If you can't give them what they're asking for, you ask more questions and you try and collaborate with them and you become more
Troubleshoot.
creative. You have to figure out what are they looking for. And more importantly, people want to be seen, heard, and celebrated. You work on the seen and heard. And that's by asking better questions. You got to figure out the with them. You double down on with them, and then you go back to GPS.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's so many more things I want to talk about. Expectations, so many things. I'm going to finish the whole book then and
stressed.
then have you back.
Okay.
I love having you here. Thank you so much. I'm
Thank
grateful
you.
for you.
Well, I'm grateful
and
for you.
Everyone at home watching, stick around. We've got more America Trends right after this. Stick around.